When you're by yourself and you don't really have direction, it's hard to know where to go. You don't really know who to reach out to or who to talk to or the things to do, the type of music you need to be making, or just even having confidence.
The One More Time Music Podcast. Genuine conversations with genuine people about music. Hosted by Henry with a 3 and Playback Ben.
Went from Beamer Coops to Pencils. Don't want this to end, so part that one more time. Part that one more time. Part that shit like one more time. They part that one more time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of the One More Time podcast.
One more time.
We're in season 2, allegedly.
Allegedly season 2. I don't know if we're doing seasons.
Fuck that, we're not. But okay. I'm your host, Playback Ben, still here every week with my co-host.
Henry with a 3, a.k.a. the Trap Jack Black.
Trap Jack Black. Who do we got in the hot seat today, my friend?
It's a good one, right? Thank you. Welcoming in on episode 54 of the One More Time podcast, sports commentator, 7-time NBA playoff MVP, legendary Los Angeles Laker. It's James Worthy.
What's up, man?
It's the wrong James Worthy.
The what? It says James Worthy on his shirt. What do you mean? This is James Worthy.
Oh, God.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Well, who is it then, Ben?
It's still James Worthy, folks. But it is legendary producer, songwriter, artist, actor as well. We got the first James Worthy, we'll call it.
James Worthy.
Right.
OG James Worthy.
The OG.
James, appreciate you coming on, man.
Thanks for coming on.
Man. Thank you guys, man.
Yes.
You guys have been doing great.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. For those that don't know, he's friends with Ashley, former guest of
What
the
up,
podcast.
Ashley?
Shout out to her,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah, man. It's the homie.
Yep. Really, really great episode with her. So hopefully this,
Yeah.
there's a lot to live up to.
Right.
Oh, yeah, man. I watched their episode. I'm like, I'm coming for you, man.
Okay.
I'm coming for you.
That's what we like.
Good shit.
I got to
good
one
shit.
you up.
Friendly
Definitely.
competition never hurt anybody.
So your most recent drop as an artist,
Yeah.
See It My Way,
Yes.
with legendary house
Miss
artist
Robin S.
Robin S.
S.
Shout out Robin S.
You might know her from, I don't know, I think I checked the YouTube video alone. It had like 60 million views for Show Me Love.
Arguably, Show Me Love is the biggest house dance song of all time.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah.
And that's incredible that you got
You
to
know
work
what's so
with her.
crazy? She called me last night.
Wow.
Shout out Robin S.
Before she
if
went
you're
to
ever in
bed.
Atlanta, come on down.
Love to have you on
She
the
would
podcast.
love to come.
That'd be
She
dope.
called me last night before she went to bed because we talk every week.
Really?
Like, she's like family. You know?
How did that relationship even start?
You know, we met at a show years ago. It was some concert that we met backstage at, and I just came up to her. I'm like, hey man, I'm a huge fan. You know, I love house music. I love dance music, and she's one of my favorite house dance artists. So I'm like, man, I would love to do something with you. And at the time, she wasn't working with many producers. So I'm like, let's just see what we can do. So she came to my studio, and we've been tight ever since.
Just
Damn.
like that, just shooting your shot. You know what I mean? Just
And
standard.
starting off from a fan perspective, some people in this game get too big-headed or whatever the fuck it is that sometimes I don't feel like we hear enough stories like that where like you approach someone purely from like I'm a fan.
Yeah. I mean, my thing is like, I always want to work with people that I admire. You know what I mean? Whether if I have enough clout, attention, fame, whatever you want to call it, like I just love music. You know what I mean? So if they're not on my resume or my repertoire, I want them there.
Yes.
So that was just one of those things.
Yeah, that's super dope. So that record that y'all did together most recently, I think you had produced some other shit for her in the past, right?
Yes.
So post meeting her obviously and locking in.
Yeah.
But this most recent record, I mean, you guys blended obviously like R&B with, house dance music.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something about like blending of genres.
I love it.
I mean,
the way.
you talked about it in another interview. Shout out our homies Tribe Called Quest.
Oh, yeah.
The Midnight Marauders.
Oh,
you
yeah.
talked about how they did it so perfectly, blending jazz elements
Absolutely.
with hip hop, which sampling jazz had it was kind of happening, but like they took it to
They went all
a
in.
different level. I mean, it was new. Like at that time, no one ever did it before. You know what I mean? So it was like new territory.
Yeah.
And shout out to Q-Tip, man. Q-Tip is one of my favorite producers of all
Hell
time.
yeah.
And he had the foresight. You know what I mean? And there was tons of other great producers. I mean, you had Nile Rodgers, you had Jay Dilla.
Love Jay Dilla.
I mean, it was tons. But he was just one of those guys who were like, Tribe was already influential, you know what I mean, in their sound, but as soon as that Low End Theory came out, it was over. It was over.
It was over, man. I mean, I was roommates with a kid from New York in college, and when he opened my mind to Tribe and Gangstar and fucking Wu-Tang and just, I mean, oh God, it was a beautiful thing. Because I grew up in Atlanta, so all I knew was Jeezy, Luda, 3-6 Mafia, freaking Outkast, which obviously all great artists, love Southern rap too. But like hearing that New York sound where hip-hop was
so
born,
interesting, man, is like, so I'm from New York. I'm from up north, but I've been so blessed and privy to work with so many types of artists super young. So it's not just the hip hop from up north, but down south artists, UK artists, artists from Florida, the Bay Area, like just all around.
So you got a good blend early on.
It was a really, really big blend in the beginning. So that's kind of how I started to become more broad in the genre. You know what I mean? So it was just like, my foresight was like, I never want to be put in a box, ever. Yeah. Like, I don't want to be that guy.
For sure. So who do you think's doing it well in today's climate, like that genre blending? Because I can kind of think of some examples, like how hip hop's really leaning into like rock. Yeah. There's a lot of guitar loops and there's a lot of kind of that punk, rap shit going on. I mean, who do you see maybe from a producer and or artist perspective really blending genres well today? Is there anyone that comes to mind?
I know The Weeknd does that very well.
Yeah.
Sometimes, in the past, his music was more of a dark style, but still blending things.
Yeah.
I think now more than ever, he's blended a lot.
Yeah.
With the new album he just put out, the Dawn FM.
Dawn FM's awesome.
So it's incredible. But besides him, Frank Ocean does that a lot.
Yeah.
Genre bending. Let me see. Of course, Ye.
Yeah. Sure. For sure.
There's a lot of artists. There's just so many to name.
No, music, I feel like it is so true. The reason why that was so, I guess, incredible at that time was because genres were very
defined.
Siloed.
Yeah.
You
had to do one thing in one lane, and that's it.
There were no Drakes doing dance hall, R&B, and rap shit. Like, they wouldn't know what the fuck to do.
And if you tried to do it, the label would either block it or they're just not putting it out.
Yeah,
because they didn't know what to do with it.
Facts. And that just exists. I'm thankful that it exists
I love it. I love it.
Less now.
And sometimes it's like I get kind of frustrated with people when they don't want to see change because it's like, well, how much of the same things do you want to hear or see or watch or whatever? Like, it's already been done. Like, we have to continue to be creative.
No, it's interesting though, because some people do want what they want and they maybe want that same old shit.
And it's crazy.
But you clearly have this like very open mind and fluid.
I can't recreate something. Like, I always have to forward think. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like Kanye. Like, you always hear the thing of, oh, we want the college dropout. We want late registration and graduation. I'm like, there's no way possible to recreate college dropout.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no way. It's just like me. There's no way that I could recreate my first projects.
Yeah.
That's just was a time that I was just in.
Yeah.
I'm kind of conflicted on that because there are artists who I super respect and admire for their ability to continuously evolve and keep going and trying things. But, there's situations in my life where I just want to hear Young Dolph rapping on a hard, Memphis beat. And I don't need him to do anything different to serve like his purpose for me as a listener. So I'm kind of in the middle there. It's an interesting topic.
It's interesting for
sure. So born in Queens, you talked about in another interview that it was almost like you were destined to do music. You talked about how you were like always surrounded by music at a young age or whatever. Yeah. But honestly, I didn't really hear many examples. Can you provide us like, what does that mean? Like, were your parents just playing it as listeners? Did you have musicians in the family? Like, tell us about that exposure.
So I never came from a musical family.
Sure.
Or really a musical background. It was just more of me just being exposed to different people and just different situations, just being around. So like
what, at school or some shit?
Like school, where I was living at was off of Linden Boulevard in Queens, New York. So that was like 5-10 minutes away from Jamaica Avenue.
Yeah.
And I was always on the Avenue, and there's tons of things that's going on over there musically and creatively. So everybody was over there, from Jam Master Jay to Slick Rick to
Slick Rick
Houdini,
the Ruler, man.
everybody, you know? So I had a chance to really meet a lot of people. And actually, my dad did a lot of security work for a lot of celebrities.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I met people through that too. And I was just one of those kids. I was like almost a nerdy kind of kid. Like I was just curious about art.
Yeah.
And just different things. So music was just one of those things. And I always had the music playing in my household.
Yeah.
Different styles. So that was a factor. And then once I was like, man, I just love music. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to a record store and start buying CDs and vinyls, right?
Remember those?
Remember those days?
Those things that are in museums now,
Right.
unfortunately.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, man, I remember I was going to this record store every weekend, and I would buy a new album every weekend, a new vinyl, a new album. And I would read the credits. I would read the instruments that was used, the songwriters, the producers, the musicians, everything.
That's kind of becoming a theme on the show, like reading the credits and
this producer too. His dad is Neil Pogue, who's legendary, mix engineer, and same shit. He was doing it because he wanted to find out where his dad's name was on the credits.
That's kind of fly though.
Yeah. So he'd try and find Neil Pogue, buried in the fucking liner notes, of course, because shout out mix engineers, but y'all don't get much love
Not
in
much.
comparison.
Yeah, trust me. Yeah.
Yeah. But so it's cool that you had that experience too, that fascinated you.
Yeah, it was super cool. And then once the store started going away, I was just like, man, it was a wrap.
Damn. Yeah. So what was your first, I guess, foray into being a creative though? Because you were clearly like soaking it up, but like, you know what I mean?
So at that point when I was pretty much being a purist,
Yeah.
I was songwriting. So this was like at this point when I started songwriting, it was like age 13. But before I even got into the songwriting, I had a chance to meet my idol.
who it is.
Yep.
Drum roll, please.
And that idol was Michael Jackson.
Yep.
Wow.
And is that what like really just even meeting him like really put the battery in your back?
That was definitely the battery. Because I was like a Michael fanatic.
Just obsessed with Thriller.
Yeah, I mean, it's the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
King of pop.
King of pop.
And, not many people can meet their idols.
Right.
No.
Let alone someone trying to be in music. That's like a once in a lifetime situation most times. So I had a chance to do it, and that really, really put the battery in my back. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is like a sign. So let me really take this seriously. So after that, it was just kind of years of just like developing and, trying to figure things out. And then once I started really honing in on the songwriting, then the production aspect came.
Okay, so it was writing songs first.
Yeah.
What were you doing with the songs though? Because people
Not
out
really
there
much.
don't. Yeah, because like people out there maybe that are aspiring songwriters, they probably don't even know where to start. So like,
Yeah, it wasn't much in the beginning. It's just trying to get my skills together as far as putting things together song wise.
Were you recording the songs?
Here and there, I was kind of demoing it because I kind of realized that I had a voice. So I'm like, okay, I want to develop that too. So I was like, all right, well, I'm good with words and structuring the songs along with the production. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just start putting these words together on an actual record, right? And then it turned into the demos, and then just slowly sending them out and seeing what people thought about it, and get feedback, and then just start climbing up that ladder.
And then you realized you needed more beats, so I
So then I started collabing with a lot of people, So once I started collabing, then I started getting better and better and learning new techniques and learning new ways of using software and even analog gear, and just learning the technical aspects.
and this is all still in New York, right? At this point.
Yes, this was still in New York. I didn't really step out until probably age, I want to say 16, 17. And then after that, it was go time.
And so what were some of the things that were happening that made it real for you, right? Because there's some people in high school at 16 years old making music now, right? But for you, were there moments that were happening, either people you were linking up with or like things that started to like, you know, happen for you that made it like, oh shit, like I can do this.
Get
you
in
know
some
what I mean?
studio session you weren't supposed to be in.
It was a lot of studios that like I got in that I probably shouldn't have been in, but a lot of people thought that I was older because
you do have this mature,
like they thought I was older than what I was. So that's part of the reason. And then I was just cool with people. Like I just knew a lot of people. So they were like, it was just like, he's good. You know, come on in.
Yeah, but like, how were you networking at that point?
Just building relationships. Like I would just be around other prominent people and just meeting their people and then just like building the relationships. And then, you know, whenever it was just ironic, like things would just pop up and I'm just like seeing these people again, or I could just use the name or whatever just to get in the space. You know, it's pretty cool. But
How much do you think you'd attribute to being in the right place at the right time sometimes?
Like 80%.
Like so much, right? We literally talked about that recently too, and it's
like who you know, a little bit of luck, and a little bit of finesse.
Sure.
And a tiny sprinkle of talent.
and a little bit of talent.
You have to be like okay at music
too.
Yeah.
You have to be like,
Look,
all right.
It's like in the beginning, like you just got to get in the door.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing is getting in the door, because it's like it's never going to be the introduction is most likely not going to be about the talent.
Yeah.
It's just going to be about, okay, you getting in the door. How did you get in here? Okay, then once you got in here, okay, what do you do?
It's people skills too. It's so major.
Yeah.
It's how do you handle people?
Skills.
How do you meet people? How do you follow up with people?
Yeah.
Are you asking them for shit right off the rip? You know, or are you offering up yourself?
And that's the problem that people have is I think they ask for things too early.
Yes.
Or they expect things too early.
Yes.
Instead of actually building the relationship to like let it flourish, and then like once you build the right rapport, then you're like, okay, yeah, we're cool. Like, hey, man, you know, think we could do this? Yeah, you know, just start building it up.
Yeah. Was there a time that you kind of can point back to that was that like tipping point of like from just trying to make shit shake to like, okay, cool, shit, you know, shit's kind of moving now? Or was it too many things that kind of worked together?
It was so many things at one time, but like I think when I started like getting in more industry circles, I think this is when social media started like rumbling a little bit more. Like we had the MySpace and all that, but like I remember Twitter had first came out around that time, and a couple other sites. But I think when that happened, like especially Twitter, it kind of gave more accessibility to me to reach out to industry people. So like executive, like A&Rs, other artists, stuff like that. So I'm like sending beat packs out to people. They're giving me their emails, their numbers, you know, stuff like that.
So you were early on that game.
Yeah, I was definitely early on that game.
Before they were all getting flooded with beat packs like they probably are now.
Oh man, yeah, it was crazy.
Oh, I mean, I've heard so many cool stories about like Twitter DMs that have flourished into amazing relationships.
Yeah, that was for real. That was for real.
Yeah. So you were really leveraging
I was
that.
I was definitely on that wave for sure.
No, definitely. So, you know, at what point do you move to Atlanta?
So I moved to Atlanta when I was like about to turn 18. And I remember I met a lot of people when I came to Atlanta. And I was always back and forth anyway from New York to Atlanta because I had family out here already and different people. But when I came, I was meeting a lot of different producers, songwriters, engineers, A&Rs, right? Just kind of being around the mix, you know, being invited to events and stuff like that, networking stuff. And then I met this guy from Houston. He was a producer in Houston, and he worked with like all the Houston artists like Mike Jones and Slim Thug, Paul Wall. And
love that whole
like that whole
like
Swisher
that.
House era.
Yeah.
And that,
Chopped and Screwed.
Yeah, Chopped and Screwed. like he was that guy with all that. So he pretty much like I introduced myself to him when we met, and the funny part about it was my next door neighbor was his sister, which was the crazy part. So like she kind of hooked us up, and he kind of took me under his wing. You know, just kind of showed me a lot of different things just about production and just song making. And he gave me an opportunity to work with him alongside some of the other artists that he was working with in Houston. And that's kind of how I started climbing up the ladder a little bit, you know, more in the industry realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How important is a mentor like that?
Very important, man. Super important. Because it's like when you're by yourself and you don't really have direction, it's hard to know where to go. You know what I mean? Like you don't really know who to reach out to or who to talk to or the things to do, the type of music you need to be making, or just even having confidence or just having the foresight of this is going to work.
Do you think you can have mentors that maybe you aren't in direct contact with? Maybe you just keep up with their social media, or do you think it's important to be able to have a dialogue and maybe see them physically?
A dialogue is always great.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes physical might not always be on the table, but just to have, you know, phone calls or, you know, FaceTime, whatever it is, that's important because, you know, having someone that actually understands what you do, you know, what your plans are, where you want to take things, that's important.
Yeah.
And then just checking in on progress.
Yeah, just checking in and just having somebody to talk to, you know, not even just about music, but just life.
Right.
And their experiences.
Right.
You know, I think that's super important.
Yeah, I mean, because this shit, as many people want to try and sell you on like a music business course, like this shit is like tribal knowledge, a lot of it. I mean, having someone that can help kind of like nudge you in the right direction or like bounce ideas off of even, you know, I mean, it's got to be huge.
Super huge. And I think one of the biggest things that helped me along my journey was I was never stagnant. And I always learned from other people. Mm-hmm. Like whenever I saw like my peers or someone that did something wrong or they took a L or they had wins, you know what I mean? Like I learned from all of it. I'm like, okay, well that's something that I don't need to do.
Right.
These are the things that I do need to do. Let me follow their journey. Let me follow their blueprint, not to emulate, but just to, you know, inspire myself to create my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're definitely like a student.
Yeah, I was definitely a student, and I'm still a student.
Yeah.
Like
gotta be
always,
forever.
Always
always
learning.
We're always learning. Like I always tell people, there's always something new to learn. You know what I mean? Because life is always something new. And especially the industry. The industry changes.
Oh.
To me, the industry changes every week.
It does.
But
and it's still not even like caught up to where it should be.
yeah, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we had Rico Brooks on here, you know, legendary producer manager, works with Sunny Digital, had worked with Metro and Southside, you know, for a period of time. Young Jock and Gorilla Zoe back in the day, managing artists. And he's been in this game for a while.
Yeah.
You know, he's definitely older than me. I don't want to date him, but at the same time, you know, he's been doing this shit for a little while and he's just obsessed with learning.
Yeah.
Obsessed with
You gotta
it,
be.
you know?
You gotta be. Because there's no forward moving if you're not.
Yeah.
Similar to how your music, you want it to keep evolving. You're learning new musical techniques.
I'm evolving every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I look back when, so just to give you the backstory, I don't know if you guys knew this, but so I used to be in a group, right?
Boy band?
No, it wasn't a boy band. It was just two members, myself and another guy.
Okay.
I was a singer of the group and he was a rapper of the group.
Okay.
Well, yeah, was that King's X2 or whatever?
King's X2, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So, you know, when we did that, it was like kind of random. Like it was a random thing. Like
That's a cool, like, are there any groups where it's a singer and a rapper? Like that's so simple, but
it's a regular duo.
No, I feel like it's not been done. It's like two rappers or two singers.
A singer and a rapper? Yeah, I don't know.
I've never heard of that before. That's like genius.
No, it was either like, you know, B2K or like
Outkast.
Yeah, exactly. Or like the Outkast.
I didn't even think about that.
The members always do the same shit.
But let's hear how it worked out first before we recommend you guys go do this. He's like, yeah, well, I was in this group of a rapper and a singer.
So we did the group. This is 2017.
Okay, yeah.
So we did the group thing. It wasn't planned. It wasn't something that I was like, I was jumping to do. Like literally, like I was working on his project at the time because he was his own artist. And one day he was like, "Hey man, you know, you think you could just demo this hook for me for the song that I'm working on?" I'm like, "Sure." So I did the hook, and he was like, "Man, this is fire!" Like
He's like, "You got pipes, bro."
Yeah, man, like you got it.
You know that demo?
We're gonna keep this.
We're
right
releasing
now.
it.
We're gonna keep this right now. I'm like, all right, whatever. So then that turned into us doing more songs, right?
Yeah,
So I'm still not in artist mode yet.
No.
Right? So the more we're doing songs, the more he's like, okay, maybe we should do a whole project or something. I'm like, all right. I mean, so what are you saying? He was like, maybe we just, turn into a group. I'm like,
You're like, this escalated quickly.
yeah.
I was just doing a demo.
Yeah.
No, he was just making a beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just doing
started,
joints,
yeah.
and then
He didn't even want to do the demo yet.
But you know what? The ironic part about it was so many industry people telling me that I should be an artist.
Okay, so you had that like
So, in
people
the
were
back of
putting
your
that,
mind.
that
It was
thought in
it
your
was still,
mind.
it was
yeah.
a thought, but it just wasn't like
Had you brushed it off a bunch or like?
no, it just didn't come to fruition yet.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
So I'm like, okay, I'll try it, right?
Sure.
So we tried it. We did a bunch of records. We settled on one, which was called Wine for Me. This was the first single that we put out. And literally that song like just kind of like took off, and it debuted at number 10 on Billboard.
Wow.
Number 10.
That's a takeoff.
First time I was ever on a song, period.
Yeah.
As an artist.
Yeah.
Set the bar high.
And I'm like, and usually when that happens, like, because that's hard to do.
Yeah.
And I think when it happened, people were like happy and surprised, but confused in a way. Because they're like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
And then how the hell did y'all get number 10?
Well, how did you like? Where were these listeners coming from?
So a lot of it came from sales, of course, and a lot of it came from us doing shows and just moving around a lot.
Yeah.
Like it was just like we were like doing physical copies, of course, digital sales. So all of that accumulated.
Damn.
Yeah.
And so you do that, and then it doesn't work out long term.
Yeah,
obviously,
so-
you're not
so-
still in the group.
Yeah, so
like,
we broke the group off. There's a lot of personal stuff, man. Like really petty stuff, to be honest.
Oh, we've talked about groups.
yeah.
Yeah. On paper, great.
Y'all creatives, it's tough, man.
It
Tend to
really
butt
is,
heads.
man. Because you're dealing with different personalities and egos and
Yes.
different things that you got going on in each
and
other's
different
lives.
camps, like
Different
managers or
difference
other
of
people.
opinions.
Yeah.
Just stuff.
Yeah.
So that had a lot to do with it. So and we're still great friends to this day. But we broke it up, and once we did that, that's when I went solo.
Yeah.
So once I went solo, like all bets are off. Like I remember, like my first single that I put out was called "Move," and that featured Houdini,
Yeah.
the group Houdini.
Yeah.
Which was crazy. People was like, "How did you get Houdini?"
Yeah. How did you?
How did you get Houdini?
Because they were on the block on fucking
Like, yo,
Linden.
I met them years ago, right? But I didn't really get to sit down with them until 2018, right? Because my producer at the time was really good friends with them. And like he was around them all the time. So I'm like, man, I freaking love Houdini.
Yeah.
I gotta talk to him.
Yeah.
So we met up, and literally when I first met them they came to the studio where I was recording with my producer. They heard the song. They was like, oh man, this is hot. I want to get on it.
Boom.
Damn.
First shot.
So didn't even have to ask.
Didn't even have to ask. First session.
But were you going to ask? If they
what?
didn't offer it up?
I wasn't gonna ask because that was just the first encounter.
That's like
or
trying
the first meeting.
You
Yeah,
were trying to fuck on the first date. You were like,
right. Let me not push.
Metaphorically speaking, Houdini,
You love the
Yeah.
dating metaphors, though. It's
I
really
mean-
popping up. They work.
I feel like a lot
They
of
still
times in
work.
this industry, it feels like a big fucking dating pool of people,
Yeah, no,
on first dates for sessions and shit. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it was cool, man. I mean, I was just happy to just be
Yeah.
there with him, let alone get a verse.
Once again, from like a fan's perspective, that had to be like, yo,
Yeah, man.
this is awesome.
It was sick. So,
Yeah.
you know, we put the record out. The record did like 1 million streams in like 2 weeks. Right? It was going crazy.
Sheesh.
So after that, I'm like, okay, all right. Obviously, there's a demand going on. So I was in work mode. I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna work on this EP, which was the Blue Leisure EP.
Yep.
Are you producing for yourself at this point?
No, actually, I didn't produce any of those records.
Have you produced any of your own records over the years?
Only one. And
We've talked about this too.
Yeah.
Is it because you just can't work on it from both angles because it's just too much? And
well,
like, you get tired of it?
I can, but I just wanted to be artist mode.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted to take some of the expectation off of me. Like I just want to write. I
Yes.
just want to be an artist. Like and in the midst of that, just give other people opportunity as well. You know what I
True.
mean?
The other part of it too is if you are making the beat as the artist, you never have that first time that you get to hear the beat and have that first reaction and that first vibe. Like, play the beat and hear it and like, oh, I'm hearing this and I'm vibing to this. No, you spent hours making the beat. You're not going to have that initial.
But on the flip side, I'm so like particular and a perfectionist that even though I'm not producing the beat, I'm still the one mixing the beat.
So you couldn't be totally hands off with the production.
Yeah, I'm still very hands on.
Yeah.
Like even when it comes down to the mixing of the record, like the vocals.
We're
have to
going to
be a
make this
certain
kick
way.
thump a little harder.
Yeah.
Those hats aren't rolling the way they need to.
It has to be right.
Yeah.
It has to be right.
Damn.
But you know, trust me, man. Like when I was creating the Blue Leisure project, each record was mixed like at least 10 times. Mm-hmm. At least. At least.
that
worst.
kills him.
Yeah. No, I'm just, respect. Like, I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a process, but I mean, when people heard it, they were like, yo, this is next level. And for it to be my first project too.
Yeah.
And I had features on there. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't just something I just kind of threw out there just to test the water. I'm like, no, I'm really trying to make a statement here.
Which Kanye project was it where they had literally 10 different engineers mix the entire project? It's like,
I don't
there was
know.
some on that
I
lately.
feel like that's all.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of them.
Yeah.
Like 10
Every
different
single Kanye
engineers.
project.
Yeah, like
We've had the album mixed 10 times. And it's like, well, what's the engineer doing? No, there's 10 engineers.
You got like 10 writers. And
So
the mess.
you've been Grammy nominated,
yes.
and I think a few times, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
One of them is for a Bieber record, right?
Yes.
Shout out to Biebs.
Shout out Biebs.
Got the beat, man.
J Biebs, if you're ever in Atlanta, which
Love to-
which you know you are.
on, man.
Love to have
come
you on the
down.
podcast.
Come on,
yeah,
man.
yeah. So, how did that happen? Like, what was your role on that record? Was it a songwriter, or were you the producer or co-producer?
On that one, it was more the writing.
Yeah.
Really of right place at the right time. A little bit of luck and a little bit of relationships.
And a sprinkle of finesse.
Yeah, and a sprinkle of finesse. Yeah.
Yeah, and which record was it again?
It was Company.
Company.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Dope. Yeah. Yeah. So you're still chasing the Grammy, huh?
Yeah, still chasing that Grammy, man. We're gonna get it.
Yeah.
We're gonna get it.
How important? Because we actually talked about this with Ashley, so it's kind of
Yes.
funny to bring it back up. She used to set goals for herself, and now she treats them as just to-do list items. And she said something like, "I mean, I'll probably get a couple Grammys, but like, it's not a big a deal if I don't."
Not thinking
I mean,
about
I kind of feel the same way. I mean, my
Like,
thing
what
is,
weight do you put on like a Grammy?
I mean, it's great, but I'm not out here like screaming like I need a Grammy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm just creating. I just want to create.
Yes.
I just want to make music.
So, how much weight do you put on like outside reception of your art, though?
Well,
Just enough to live off of music, or
Yeah.
are you chasing like people's or people's like
Big
affection
numbers.
and you know what I mean? Yeah, like
I mean, the easiest way to explain it is I make music for me.
Yeah.
Like I create for me, and of course, it's always great that other people love what you do. You know what I mean? And you have fans around the world that enjoy it, but for me, I'm doing it for my fulfillment, right? I make the music that I would want to listen to, right?
And ironically, more people tend to connect with it than when you try to make music for other people.
Yeah, yeah. And like I've always been a person to where like I don't really do things for validation from other people. Like I do me.
Fuck what people think.
Yeah, I don't care about that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Because once you start doing that, then you're living by other people's means.
Yes.
Or their rules or what you should be doing versus what you actually want to do. You know what I mean? So with me, like where I'm at right now in my life, in my career, and my creativity, I don't listen to many people. You know what I mean? In the sense of personal or musically. Like I'm in more of just my own world. You know what I mean? And whatever comes out of that is what you get.
Does that ever hurt you? You know, would you say?
No, because I think how I'm doing things now, it's innovative in a way. So I'm like, even with See It My Way with me and Robin, that's an innovative record.
Yeah.
And people, that's the first time I even dropped a record like that.
Yeah.
So people are hearing me on something like that for the first time. So they're like, wow, this is different. Never heard you on it, but I love it. It's
being well received.
Yeah, it's super well. Like, man, we went #1 on the charts like the third day it came out.
Crazy.
Yeah.
#1, and I did not expect that.
Yeah.
Did not. We went #1 on 4 charts.
That's crazy.
Sheesh.
Shout out Robin.
Shout out Robin, man. And I love her so much, man. She's always been a huge supporter of the brand, of the movement, vice versa. And she's always been so down to earth. And, you know, like, I mean, dog, she has the biggest dance song of all time.
Unreal.
Yeah.
So at what point do your TV appearances happen?
Ooh, man, those are so random.
And yeah, I was trying to like find clips, but I couldn't. So like, what was the extent of you being on these shows? Like,
So
Love and Hip Hop and
more like the Love and Hip Hop stuff and the BT stuff and all that. It was music based, like you know, just how like you see producers in the studio with artists and they're working, like you know, featuring the producer and the artist. Like it was basically that.
Okay.
I was working with a couple of different artists. So I remember I was on a show called From the Bottom Up that was on BET. And I was working with Sarah Stokes from Making the Band.
Okay.
So I had produced a single for her called Sneak Peek, which featured Babs. She was in the same group with her.
Oh, yeah.
So
God, that's like throwback in my fucking mind.
super
I'm
throwback.
Like, holy shit,
Super
Babs
throwback.
from Making the Band. Like,
Yeah, man.
Jesus.
Shout out to both of them, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we was just we did an episode for BET, just kind of showing the making of us making that song, and you know, just kind of talking about life and stuff like that.
Do you have aspirations though of doing bigger things within the acting world?
Yeah, for sure. Like,
Because that doesn't even sound like much of acting. That's more like
that was
kinda
just
being
like
yourself.
That's capturing real life.
Yeah,
games.
that's just like real life stuff. But you know, a funny thing. So at the time, this is like years ago, I had a manager at the time, right? And she was more into the television film world, more so than music.
Okay.
And she wanted me to get more into film. I'm like, okay. And I was always curious about acting and, you know, doing stuff like that on camera. So she was like, hey, I want you to come to this this taping this filming that they're doing this day. I'm like, okay. They were starting at like 6 a.m. I'm like, I don't know if I need to be there at 6 a.m. But I got there at 8.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough.
Classic artist shit. Although he was on time today, folks.
Yes.
Yeah, I was on time.
Shout out.
Very impressive. Can't say the same for our other guests.
Oh yeah, man. It gives me anxiety when I'm late.
As it should.
Me too, man.
I don't know what that is, but it just gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
But I came there and, you know, it was this movie that they were working on. Didn't know what it was about. Didn't know who was in it. Nothing. So all she said was, I want you to go there, network, and meet people, and da-da-da. So she was really good friends with one of the main directors and producers of the film. And his name was Errol Sadler. So I'm like, all right, cool. And I had met him prior when I met with her before this day. And cool guy. So I came on set, and like all these people were there, like Clifton Powell from Fridays there, Terry Vaughn is there, Carl Payne from Martin, just a bunch of people, right?
All-star lineup.
All-star lineup. So I'm thinking like, maybe I'm gonna do some extra work or something, you know, just on the backside, right? So I walk in there and literally they're shooting a scene when I'm walking onto the set. So I'm just staying out the way. And they called cut and the guy was like, man, he was upset because somebody called out to they couldn't show up. So he was like, man, I need somebody to do this scene with Clifton. He looked at me because I was standing right there. He looked at me. He was
Right
like,
place, right time.
He was like, you, come stand right here. I'm like, all right.
They're like, can you stand?
Yeah.
Still.
So he told me to stand right there. I'm like, all right. Then he was like, he handed me this big old script.
Okay.
He was like, say these lines real quick. And then it turned into like a whole scene.
Wow.
That was the first movie I was in.
And so, you did that.
Yeah.
What was the movie?
It was called Love by Chance.
Okay.
That's literally right place, right time.
Like physically
in the right.
I got a SAG credit, got paid.
Wow.
So was it anything to do with like, you had the right like look? You kind of looked like the guy that called out.
I
or was
literally-
it,
I
literally just standing right there.
Literally, I didn't
or
know.
was the other guy like a white guy?
I didn't even know who the guy was. I didn't know what the role was, what the guy was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like they just like, hey, you come over here, you read these lines, and then like kind of like, freestyle a little bit once Clifton starts doing his thing.
Yeah.
And that was that.
Damn.
Wow. Must have done a good job.
I guess.
Yeah, were you nervous?
In the beginning, yeah, but the more takes we were doing, I was like, oh, this is cool.
How many takes did you need?
I think we did like maybe like 6.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have no idea if that's a lot or a little.
Probably standard.
Because see what I didn't realize is like on different sets they have these cue lines. Like if you stand here, this is a cue. Then if you stand over here, this is a cue. And over here is all these different cues.
Oh yeah, I have no idea.
So they direct you to all these different cues where you need to be. And I'm like, I didn't know they did it like that.
Oh, I have no idea.
And they
I've
pay
been
you.
on music
They pay
video
you
sets,
per
but-
cue
Ooh.
in movies.
I want lots of cues.
So like if you stay here,
Stack up your cues.
if you
bro.
stand here and did something,
Yeah.
okay, that's a cue. You get paid for that. Then if you're over here, that's another cue. You get paid for that. I'm like, wow, that's interesting.
Damn, he's reading scripts now. Like, how many cues I got?
Yeah, I'm like, how many lines?
Let's
How
try it
many-
again with me over there. on that
What's
side.
my movement?
Yeah.
Listen, Clifton, I think it would look better if I was over there.
Yeah, like let's move over here, man. Let's position the lights.
That's funny. So, you transition into an artist. Obviously, you kind of talked about like that came by way of that collab that you did, King's X2, that duo.
Yeah.
How's your artistry evolved, would you say? Since that first project, I think you've had like what, 3 projects out or something? Or?
So I put out 2 EPs.
Okay, 2 EPs.
And so basically, when I dropped the first EP, of course that was the the feeler, right?
Yep.
And literally that whole year, I did my own tour that whole year.
Wow.
Even the crazy part, even before that, when I was announcing that I was putting out the EP, I had did a release event the day it was the day after it came out. Well, really the same day, and it was sold out.
Dang.
Like it was a nice sized venue. It wasn't the biggest, but I mean, it probably held like 250 people, something like that, right? Just to start out.
Most
right?
people can't pack a 50-person room.
I wanted to see
event.
what the reaction would be and see if people would actually come, right?
Yeah.
They came.
Man. and I was nervous because not only this is my first project, but it was raining outside. It was gloomy. I'm like,
not good vibes going.
It wasn't
into
a good vibe at first.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, let me just see.
Yeah.
Man, I pulled up to the venue. The line was wrapped around the building.
Hell yeah.
I'm like, is this for me? And I walked up to the door just to ask. I'm like, this is for James Worthy, right? They were like, yeah. I'm like, wow.
You're like, it's not the basketball James Worthy, right?
Right. And I'm like,
I
no.
sing.
But I had to make sure. I'm like, this is the Blue Leisure event, right?
Yeah.
I know.
They're like, yeah. I'm like,
awesome.
wow.
I didn't book
Damn,
Chief
that's-
Keef on top of me, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Seriously.
I couldn't believe it.
No, that's great.
It was great, man. So
That had to like
that really put the motivation,
Yeah.
right? So that's when I started booking the tour stuff.
this was a good decision to try this
Yes,
artistry thing.
absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
versus like you probably had a good thing going with the producing and songwriting. So you kind of were,
and I was still on a roll. I was still on a roll, but I wanted to branch out, and I didn't really know how it was gonna go, but I did it anyway, and then it just exceeded the expectation.
Yeah.
So after that, it was like sky was the limit. So after that, I'm like, well, I'm going to project number 2.
Yeah.
Right. So come 2020, I remember I had went to Italy. And I was in Rome at the time. I was sitting in this courtyard, and this is early in the morning, and literally where the courtyard was, it was like probably like a couple blocks away from the Colosseum, so you can see it.
Damn,
it's crazy. So this guy that was sitting above me on this balcony, he had this huge telescope, right, and he was looking at the Colosseum. But the way the telescope looked, like it had all these different colors, and like it looked like super dope. So I kept looking at it. I'm like, because I was thinking of a concept for the project.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this time around, I want to give a different perspective, different sound, just something different to step it up from Blue Leisure. So that's when kaleidoscopes popped in my head.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, that's it. So I started coming up with the ideas. So as soon as I got back to the States, started working on kaleidoscopes. So, and the crazy part about it was a lot of artists reaching out to me, wanting to do records.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, this is kind of dope.
Yep. And then obviously you've had a couple singles like, Lucy's since then, right?
Yeah. So after I dropped that project, man, then that's when the whole pandemic came.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because literally I did a release event a week after Kaleidoscopes came out, and sold out event again. This time it was a bigger venue.
Yeah.
It was like I think a 500 people venue. 500 people came. It was crazy.
Damn.
So after that, man, it was on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the whole pandemic kind of got in the way a little bit. You couldn't move around, you couldn't tour, you couldn't travel.
Venues were one of the
venues
hardest
were shut down, gone, right? So I'm like, well, we got to get creative, right? So I just started putting out singles here and there. So I put out a single called Do You Know around, early around that year. And then I dropped Gold Mine with Jay Holiday, which did very well. We did a music video to that. Then I dropped another single called In the Dark. And then I just dropped a bunch of singles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
TikTok
really
with Big Gip.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really when like the singles culture like solidified itself of like, we're sticking around.
Yeah.
And obviously like with, no pun intended, with the rise of TikTok, the platform.
Yeah.
That obviously is really fueling the singles culture where,
for sure,
short sound bites of songs, and so I think that, obviously you had to evolve. Every artist had to adapt to shit. We can't tour. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Projects, I don't know if that's, where people's heads were at to be making full length projects. The creativity was sucked out of a lot of people, I feel like, during that time.
Yeah, man, it was kind of rough.
Yeah.
It was rough for a minute. But in the flip side of it, it actually worked in my favor because it gave me a lot more time to create.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's tough to do that when you're, moving and shaking and
throughout that whole time, I'm like, well, I want to work on my debut album. And it gave me so much time to just figure out the direction and where I wanted to take things and, what would the sound be this time? How can I elevate from what I've already been doing? Just all of that. So I think, man, the records that I've been doing now are incredible.
So where's the debut album?
When can we expect it?
So the debut album will be releasing this summer in August.
Okay.
Is this a One More Time exclusive?
It is.
Fuck yes. I knew we'd get one. I knew we'd get one out of James.
Yes.
Do we have a name for it?
August. The name of the album is called Once a Fairy Tale.
Once a Fairy Tale. And like you feel this is your best work so far?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
OAF.
Okay.
OAF.
Once.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
That's dope, man.
Yeah, literally, like the marketing is gonna be so sick. All you're gonna see is OAF everywhere.
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 Get used to it.
OAF.
That's dope, man. So one other thing that I found really interesting, I have no idea what your involvement in it is, but the Three Kingdoms group. What the hell is that about?
Three Kingdoms
How did
group.
you get, like, tell people what that even is. How did you get involved? You know, what's the deal behind that?
Shout out to Three Kingdoms Group. So Three Kingdoms Group is a global sports agency based in London. And I am the co-founder of that company alongside my business partner, Steve, who lives in London as well. And basically, we just sign players to our agency to get them to ball clubs, soccer, football. And it's like almost bridging the gap of sports and music, right? Because people in other countries, they love American music, especially in the UK. Mm-hmm. They love American music. So it's more so like I'm the face of the company. And it's almost like I'm endorsing them and they're endorsing me, right? And we're just a new thriving company. We're just making sure that we're picking the right players to the right ball club. So we're just getting everything in motion with that. But it's just a new venture that I wanted to try because I love sports. And I don't really see many people doing these types of ventures.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was so cool. I was like,
what sports mostly?
Yeah, like soccer.
Soccer. Soccer.
Both footballs, I guess.
Yeah.
Football.
But soccer's, it's huge in the UK. So, yeah, it's going.
Well, yeah, so is Steve kind of holding it down as far as like, navigating those relationships in the UK?
He's definitely holding it down. That guy's like, he's almost like a socialite out there.
I was checking him out. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is this guy up to, man?
This guy is all over the place.
With like anyone and everyone. No, like
this guy is all over the place. Shout out to my guy Steve.
Yeah, shout out Steve Sharp.
Yeah, Steve Sharp, man.
Over here.
And shout out to Tansel as well. Tansel is also our other business partner as well. All great guys, man. They're doing their thing.
How'd you even meet Steve though?
We've been following each other on social media for a long time.
Shout out the internet, man.
Yeah, the internet.
One time for the internet.
Yep.
Yeah, we just followed each other on IG for like the longest.
So was he a fan of the music?
Yeah, he was following me for a long time, and then we just kind of kept in touch with each other. And then he just popped up one day with this idea. He was like, "Man, what do you think about this?" I'm like, "Man, this is super dope. Let's see what we can do."
Damn.
Yeah,
that's so cool, man.
Just like that.
Yeah, I just think that having revenue streams and or just passions in general, like fuck the money side of things, but just being involved with something outside of music, so important.
So important.
You got to take a step away.
And you know what? Even past that, like besides Three Kingdoms Group, there's other ventures that I'm getting into as well. I actually just partnered with an NFT company.
Ooh, we were literally just talking about
speaking my language.
Yeah, just partnered with them. They're actually based in the UK as well.
Do you have ties to London at all?
I used to be there all the time. I haven't had a chance to get over there, since the whole pandemic. But I used to be over there all the time.
Just what?
Just working,
artists, and stuff,
touring, working with other artists. Production, different projects. Yeah, so
that's dope.
I'm very well versed over there.
Yeah,
and I have a big fan base over there. Like,
wow,
like the bulk of my fan base is in other countries.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Which people are sleeping on that.
Yes.
Fuck your hometown fans.
Yeah.
No offense to your hometown.
Not actually.
I still love you, but we got to branch out.
But like with the internet, once again, shout out the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter if someone in your city fucks with you if you can reach people in other markets that do.
Well, you're never gonna be international if you don't.
Yeah. Well said.
I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
It's just like an artist that wants to go global, right? If you don't do a pop record, you're not going global.
Yeah. Something that can.
If you're not in that world some way, somehow, you're not going global.
Yeah.
It's just too broad.
What does the NFT company do? You guys minting like music NFTs?
So we're going to be working on a lot of different NFTs, like just of course music, but memorabilia with different things, just different stuff, man. Just creative stuff.
Was that also just something that you had a passion for? Like you like
because I have a lot of valuable stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm like, why not use it?
Yeah.
And just package it up, a dope way, and just get into the new wave.
Yeah.
So you're kind of tapped in with Web3 and all that stuff going on?
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah,
that shit is like,
No, because
over my head.
remember how
man.
he was talking about, being early on Twitter and sending out packs and stuff now?
Yeah.
Web3 is the current version of that. There's people that are minting songs and they're getting fan bases just because there's not that many people doing it right now.
Absolutely.
There's people that are winning because they're in this space early, and it's the next wave of web.
I put all my faith in you, Henry.
He's right. He's right.
I'm telling you, man.
He's right. And now it's probably the most important time to like get into these things and be as creative and innovative and like just entrepreneurship is like just thriving right now.
Yeah.
Right. This is the time to do it because things are fresh, right?
Yes.
Things are growing. Things are like just trying to find its way.
There's opportunity.
It's opportunity. So
Everywhere.
and you want to jump on it in the beginning.
Early,
because when people wait and then they're trying to get on whatever wave that was going on like at the last minute.
Missed the boat, my friend.
You missed the boat.
Yeah.
You missed the boat.
Not true.
So I'm always thinking about stuff like that. You know, like even now, like past that, I'm working on a separate brand called Tasty Notes. And Tasty Notes is going to be a entertainment event brand. So every event that comes not only in Atlanta, but other cities are going to come through Tasty Notes. So we're going to be providing live entertainment, networking, food, beverage vendors, but we're featuring different styles, not just the same old stuff, like just different styles of everything.
Yeah.
Right.
That's dope.
And it's more of an elite upscale style. So whenever you see an event from us, it's like an experience.
Yeah.
Right. So when you attend it, you're gonna be like, whoa, like this is a lot that went into this.
Yeah.
So when you walk out of it, you're like, I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah.
That's our goal. So that's another venture that I'm working on.
Damn. Well, it sounds like you got so much going on. I don't know how you fucking manage it.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But shout out to my team, man. Of course, it's not a one-man job.
Yep.
So everybody has, obligations and roles to play, but everybody has to be on the same page, man.
Yeah.
Because one thing that's not working in the engine is not moving.
Facts.
Period.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go.
For sure. Well, y'all be fucking ready for this new album coming out in
Be
August.
ready.
Yes.
OAF is going to be stamped on your fucking forehead by August.
Yes.
We are looking forward to it, man. This has been an amazing
Look, man,
conversation.
I'm going to tell you guys right now, OAF is going to be a classic.
I can't
Classic
wait for
project.
it. And I'm glad we got to, get that exclusive in.
So
for sure.
just know, I was on the podcast and I told you guys
Before.
OAF is going to be a classic.
Well, don't forget about us once you, get the platinum record.
This is what we got to do. When the album comes out, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll do a check-in episode.
We gotta
next
do a
year.
check-in.
Or we'll get him on our new segment that is not ready
So
for
you know what?
debut,
So
but-
what
Hint,
what
hint.
we'll do is when the album drops, you guys do a review of the album, right? And
We're
then I'll
already
come
talking
back.
about doing reviews.
I'll come back and then we'll talk about it.
Bro,
I love that.
I love this.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Let's
100%.
do it. Amazing conversation, man.
Oh, man, thanks.
Really, really great, come up you've had so far.
Thank you, man.
All the shit you got your hands in is so inspiring. Like artists out there, don't be afraid to get involved with other shit outside of music. I mean,
Yeah.
think about your
You got to,
passions
man.
and do that.
Look, man, especially right now with the whole pandemic stuff that's been going on, we're just playing catch up right now. So it's not like lucrative.
Yeah.
As much as it was before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
like,
it's changing,
People
for
can't
sure.
even tour like they used to right now.
At all. Yeah.
So there's no money.
Yeah, it's
So you gotta be
still-
creative.
It's still a weird world we're living in, but
Yeah.
once again, amazing episode, amazing conversation.
Thank you,
Appreciate
man.
you coming on the
No
show.
problem, no problem.
And Henry, until next week, what are we doing?
Getting out of here.
Getting the fuck out.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Pop that shit like one more time. They pop that one more time. Pop that shit like one more time. They pop